You're welcome. Go ahead.
All right, it is your Wednesday night conversation. Tonight we are going to talk about San Francisco, Karen. Apparently she moved from Arizona to San Francisco. We've got Arizona COVID numbers, a closer look at current events, weekend recap, and more. This is Let's Have a Fifi. I actually see it.
Oh my god, we are off to a start. That's all I'll say. A start. I didn't even powder down my face. I'm 5 different colors. You're welcome. Oh my god.
It's all right. Felicia, it's okay. You know what? We don't see color. It's fine.
Oh. Well, speaking of that, let's give 30 seconds of silence for all, including those that were lost this week. So we'll have a moment of silence. Okay. The hard thing this week for me, though, is seeing more people on the list, but having people ask me for a list.
Yeah.
I and I'm not calling out this person, and they know who they are, but I love being able to educate people, but when I was looking for a list, I was like, you're not gonna want this. You're gonna be so depressed. And I found a website that depressed me even more after I was asked that. And it was way too much to even like share it, but there was a website that basically showed the crime against black people was like all over here, and then it had like all these other races that was like small picking.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's continue on. Welcome to Let's Have a Fifi. I'm Felicia Fifi Minor, and Freddy, you're still off the screen.
I'm trying. I keep moving the thing. I don't know why. I'm like, I have moved my camera, and I don't understand why I'm...
Maybe it's me.
No, I'm still...
Let's see.
I don't know.
That looks good.
If you're watching, like, if you're looking at it on Facebook, I'm, like, sitting over off to the side. So are you, actually.
Yeah, if you come over toward...
This way?
Yeah, that way.
Okay. What about right here?
A little more.
Yeah, I don't know.
Right here?
You keep taking baby steps, girl. God, I'm gonna like go ahead and pick you up and put you. So keep going. Keep going.
Over here.
I don't know why I'm like. Yeah, we're both.
You're good. You're good. Right there. Right there. You're good. Right there. What do we do in the first 5 minutes of the show?
We're fine. It's fine. Everything is fine. We're all fine here.
Okay. We made her move all over the place.
Oh, God.
If I cannot mess up your name.
I was sitting here the whole time, I swear.
I'm just going to keep moving my camera. I'm trying to figure it out, and it's not helpful that while I'm, like, Facebook doesn't have it mirrored, it has it opposite, so I'm, like, trying to figure out which way I need to go. I don't know. It's fine. It's fine.
Hi, Brian.
Who's
Hi,
who's our guest, Felicia? We have like a random third person here.
I just keep telling some random person to move, and this is Shambrekiá, right? Shambrekiá. Shambrekiá Wise, who is the author of, or co-author, let me say that, of Sightseeing with Sandy. And if you watch Drag Queen Story Hour, Drag Story Hour, excuse me, then you saw me read it a couple, has it been a month already?
Almost a month. I think it was the 13th of last month. Yeah, time flies.
You remember more than I do.
Ooh, Felicia, Shannon called you out.
What'd she say?
She said she logged on late, but she said I was afraid I'd missed stuff, but then remember the Felicia Minor always forgets to unmute anyway.
Well, we weren't talking. We weren't talking at that point. I don't like the way my lashes are sitting, but judge me later. It's okay, Shannon. I sometimes you don't need to hear what I'm saying. Sometimes the mute is maybe intentional. I'm just saying. We are the longest. We are the longest running drag live stream, and we're more than just the gossip. It's the issues that matter most to you. And we like you to share this episode. If you have a Karen on your friends list, you know,
let's be real. Doesn't everybody, like, at this point?
I have. Oh, what I was saying before the show is I have unfriended so many people. But what I have discovered is that there are some people that have been, like, waiting to be my friend, that, like, send you messages. They're like, why haven't you added me yet? And I'm like, oh. During this climate, I don't know. I gotta check your friends list, then I gotta check. Then I gotta check. Then I gotta check what you have posted. Then I gotta go back through, check, like, your credit score, make sure you didn't vote for nobody that I, feel uncomfortable with. It's a whole process, and I've been so busy.
I'll definitely say that the past few weeks has really showed the colors, no pun intended, but there it is, of people. And I'd say not even, it goes deeper than just political views. It's like your heart. Like, we were just talking about this before the show kicked off. It's like, if you are not a good person, like, I can't ride with you like that. Like, it matters how you treat people, how you view people.
And people are, it's always, well, it's a difference of opinion. No. Liking peanut butter is a difference of opinion. This is a fucking difference of morality, and that's a big issue. Like, if you like mayo, all right, fine. You know what? I can tolerate you. You're a racist asshole. That's a whole nother ball of worms. Like, that's not, no. Like, no. Oh my God.
Richard's getting into deep topics.
You gotta protect your peace. All good things. I
got off track. We want to thank our sponsor.
I know we haven't even, like, we're just like, whatever. It's fine.
We are brought to you by Wigs of a Kind and the Burly Barber. This wig, I'm gonna cut the screen back to me. This fine piece is Wigs of a Kind.
Oh my God.
What
is happening right now?
Let's see. We want to thank our Patreon supporters like Allison Best and Brandon, Casey Starr, Carrie and Corey, Kim, Joan, Jody, Leanne, Nicole, Patricia Mason, and Sassy C. Diaz. The list is getting longer, and you should join the list too. Support us at patreon.com/Let's Have a Fifi. Yes, we have 12 supporters. You can also support us by tipping us in the virtual tip jar at paypal.me/Let's Have a Fifi. And I'm going to say this one last time because I'm not taking orders after tomorrow.
This is it, folks. This is your last chance.
If you were in Scottsdale, you know what that sounds like. Anyway, order your shirts. Get the pre-order like Marissa, Justin Sider, Nicole and Dominic, Jake, and Logan have gotten theirs. I think Kim was... Kim is getting one. Send me a message with your size, if you want a crew neck, a V-neck, or a tank top, because I'm closing orders tomorrow.
What kind of shirt? What kind of shirt?
We just told you what kind of shirts.
I'm busy. And I just see you. I can't see Felicia right now.
We will get
They have our logo on it.
Okay.
They're purple. They have our logo.
That's all you need to know. That's all you...
I want to buy a shirt. Yeah.
And you can have a crew neck, you can have a V-neck, or you can have a tank top.
Did you just mansplain what I just said?
Like the actual design of the shirt, so this works.
This is gonna be. I'm just for if this is your first time tuning in, I'm so sorry.
No, you're not.
Not really, because this is how it is. This is how it is.
8 years. We're not sorry.
Yes, Kim, I will get back to you. You broke Facebook boycott for me. There was a Facebook boycott?
It was Mimi's own personal Facebook boycott.
Oh, okay. I was like, why are we boycotting Facebook?
Oh.
Well, because Zuckerman's a...
I forgot about
dipshit.
that.
But still, anyway. What did you do this weekend, Felicia?
Let's go over the one thing that you did, that I did, we did together. That was, we helped a lot of people raise $2,800 for Black-led organizations in the matter of what, like 4 hours?
Something like that. It was like it was sort of two separate shows. There was an earlier show and then there was a late show, and I wasn't able to watch the late show, but I did watch most of the earlier show, and it was great. There were DJs, drag performers, there was spoken word poetry, there was all sorts of stuff. It was really cool.
Mm-hmm. The second half was good too, including yours truly did an encore. But that was so overwhelming that there were still people putting money in the bucket after the event. So, and they're divvying up the funds. There's receipts, so that there's no question. Did you log in twice?
Okay, Brian, goddammit, Brian, listen. The candelabra. I live in a fucking shoebox. The candelabra is currently sitting on one of my bookshelves, which is like the only bookshelf that isn't being used for drag currently. And my background is my background, because if I took the background off, you would see all the fucking clutter in my fucking shoebox, because literally where I'm sitting is a corner that is probably about 3 feet by 3 feet, because I live in a goddamn shoebox. So, yeah.
So,
damn it.
Are y'all able to see me? Because my camera is looking like it's doing something really crazy right now.
No. You're frozen up in the corner on Facebook, and then we have you down here. Mm-hmm. No.
Yeah, okay. Let me...
It's all right. Yeah, go ahead and disconnect and then come back. You'll be fine. We got you.
Oh, now you're centered.
Well, that's good.
And then let's see. So my newest fundraiser is Brown Girls Do Ballet. Now,
I fucking love that, by the way.
Yes. So nothing against, because I was on the search for somebody or an organization that's in Arizona, but I can't describe what I envision in my head that this organization is like, but when I was looking around and looking around and looking around, Brown Girls Do Ballet was like, it was like almost like calling my name. It was. I was like, okay, well, I mean, I was trying to stick to music and arts, but this still kind of fits that mold.
It's art. It's ballet. It's 100% art.
And so in digging around, because before I dive into people's organizations, I like to make sure that it's not danger zone or anything. it's well backed by Misty Copeland, and there she is.
There she is. That's back.
I don't know what happened to your name though.
I don't either. It was weird, but I'm back.
So the charity is Brown Girls Do Ballet, and they help all kinds of brown. If you read their mission statement, it's like it's very inclusive to brown girls, but it helps all kinds of people. There was like it said like Native American nations, but I think that means like, you know, it's very.
Oh, I think it's awesome. I mean, statistics prove that there are very, very few principal dancers in ballet companies that are POCs of any kind.
Mm-hmm.
Very few Black principal dancers. There's a couple, but they're very few. Very few. In fact, off the top of my head, I can't even think of any sort of Latina principal dancers in ballet companies.
I don't know either.
Like they're you know, so it's very much a white dominated industry, which is idiotic, but you know, whatever.
And I believe that Brown Girls Do Ballet are the ones that push to get their ballet slippers in the nude that matches their color of their skin.
Yeah. They did that at my little girl's ballet theater here in Dallas. They had all these vendors there maybe a week or so before classes started, and they purposely matched the color of their skin, and they were able to get their tights and their shoes. And I never thought about that until that moment, how important that was for her, because, you know, Sandy, she's vibrant and she's so observant. She saw this and she said, "Mommy, this is my color. They're not pink anymore." And I was like, whoa. Like,
wow, that's awesome.
I didn't even think about it. And then she saw all these other little girls. There are all these other beautiful shades of brown and black. And she was like, "Mama, they look like me." Because she's always been pretty much the only one in her dance classes where we used to live. And so it was beautiful to see like that part of her, like wake up, be happy, feel like she had a place to fit in. And
I know Lord knows any Black drag queen will tell you how hard it is to get tights in their color.
They're either too dark or they're too or the brown doesn't like, it's like an ashy color. The kind that I wear right now are like the under of my chin, they're like way too dark, and I'm like a yellow. So I'm like, my legs never match my top, so depending on what day and what sale, I may be caramel one day and dark chocolate the next. You don't know.
Oh God! We need to see if we can find you like a whole like nylon bodysuit thing. We can just
they sell them in there. They're not the right color.
Yeah.
I need to find these.
At least it would be a consistent wrong color. You know what I mean? Like at least your legs and your top half would be the wrong color and match.
But then my hands wouldn't match.
You know.
Anyway, so I also spent most of my weekend putting together the show for this Friday, the Juneteenth celebration, presented by Virtual Arizona Pride and Next Gen Arizona. Get out and vote, kids. We have a great cast. There is another Juneteenth show hosted by Mia Inez Adams and Barbara Seville that is on at 7, but we're on at 8. Check us out. I'll be releasing the details on Facebook.
Oh, sure.
That's good.
But a part of all of this, you know how like I get caught up in I have to stay inside anyway, so I occupy my mind with things to do, and then I take on more things to do, and then I take on more things to do, and then I say, okay, yeah, I could do that. And then my body on Saturday said, you know what? You're not gonna do that. You're not gonna do that. So I was in bed all day Saturday.
Yeah, I didn't do a goddamn thing all weekend. Nothing.
Stuck.
I stayed home and I played video games.
I'm gonna have to get me one of these Switch things.
I literally stayed home. I felt guilty because it's weird. Like, this is actually something I'm struggling with, because I don't have, like, I'm struggling with the spoons to be able to do, like, productive things, like during my weekend. And right now I'm like, I have no desire to be fucking productive. So I literally sat in my fucking chair and oh, I did have a migraine on Saturday.
Maybe we were channeling.
I had, in fact, that's why I didn't do anything. So I had a migraine on Saturday, and this is also why I don't remember anything either. So I had a migraine on Saturday.
I forgot about that.
And I took, so I don't smoke. I'm on paper, I'm kind of boring. You know, those of you that know me know I don't drink, I don't really smoke, I don't really do anything. But I do have edibles I keep around, and they usually last me forever because I keep them around for when I have a migraine. I don't get migraines very often, but usually if I take an edible, it helps knock out the migraine.
Mm-hmm.
So I took a 10 milligrams, that's it! The 10 milligram hard candy.
You're also very light.
I am. I'm kind of a lightweight, and I like it, yes. But it was a 10 milligram edible, and it knocked me out. Like, I took it, that was Friday is when I took it. So I took it Friday after work, probably around 4-ish. And I don't remember much of the rest of the evening, and then I was still feeling it on Saturday.
Oh, yeah, that was Saturday, because I was like, I'm in bed. And you're like, I'm recovering. And I was like, from
yeah, bed. I'm like, I didn't do shit. I was literally, like, on my couch, like, why am I still woozy? It was fucking 10 milligrams. Bullshit. So, yeah.
That's crazy. No, not to get you any special brownies.
I know.
Damn. What about you, Sham?
It takes me like one glass of wine and I'm done. So I haven't even really had my wine. I haven't had a shot. I have a whole bar over here that's just waiting to utilize it, and it's aesthetics at this point. I'm just like, if I'm not working or being super mama or being the dogs, everything, I'm working on sightseeing with Sandy, I don't have time to drink, so I just look at it. I'm just like, looking back. I'm like,
there you go, that's pretty.
We'll get reacquainted one day.
If you need help with that, I am fully available after this COVID is over.
Come through. I have literally bottles from Brown Estate.
Felicia will help you take care of your wine problem.
Yeah.
Maybe I should get hired. I should be a professional drinker.
I got plenty to share.
Dear God.
I'm sure my liver would love swimming later. What did you do this weekend, Sham?
What did you say?
What did you do this weekend?
So this past weekend, this was our first week in our new place. So I was just trying to make sure I didn't lose the child and dog in boxes. So, yeah, it was beaten, but we made it through. She's safe. But no, we're just getting settled in, and I love it. I've lived in this place before. It's much closer to everything we do, and closer to my ex, so she can see her dad pretty much as much as she wants to. Praise God.
That's cool.
Across the street from the mall whenever it's safe to go back there.
You live across. I could not live across the street from a mall.
Oh no, we've already had our debut. Like I made that. It was like 5 years ago, and it was about 5.5 years ago, and so it was when we had just separated, and I didn't know what the heck to do with my time when she wasn't with me, so I went to the mall and went shopping. I found a whole new habit 30 days later when I got that credit card bill. I said, dang, I was like, okay, I'm not taking this back, but Jesus, I'm gonna have to find something else to do. So I took up painting.
That sounds like a less expensive hobby.
It was much less expensive, and I could paint my feelings about these credit card bills when I had to submit them. It was a whole lot of blue.
Good. Oh my God.
Wow.
So, speaking of hobbies, that leads me into just the tip. So tonight, I think it's more of a discussion. I think this is a good discussion to have. And I figured we could talk about how to be better white allies. And this is something, that I think is important, especially now. I mean, it's always important, but it's especially important now with everything that's going on, and with there's a massive shift that's happening like all over the place. I don't know if you guys seen that PepsiCo, who owns Quaker Oats, who then also owns the Aunt Jemima brand, that's being changed. Mrs. Butterworth is having a makeover. Uncle Ben's is getting a makeover.
It's official about Uncle Ben now. Okay.
So, I mean, these are things that people are sometimes they're things that we see every day. So it's not things that often that we think of as racist or based in racism, or you know what I mean? Like it's a fucking syrup bottle. Nobody thinks about it, right? But obviously these are things that
I didn't think about it.
Right. Like it
until I was like, oh my God.
So do you remember the really old version of Mrs. Butterworth?
Or Aunt Jemima?
Aunt Jemima.
Yeah.
I questioned that when I was little. But I was just like, okay. Like, I remember having that conversation with my great-grandmother. And she was like, nope, it's just always been there. And I'm like, I really think that's like some of the people that we see on TV in the black and white films. But okay. It was just kind of one of those things where it's like, you're young, like super young. I think I was maybe 6, 7. And you didn't question your authorities, essentially. So I was just like, you know what? She says, it's okay. But yeah, it's like, it's been noticeable, and I appreciate the fact that they own the fact, that's racist. The intention behind it was racist. We need to fix that.
Right. And I mean, some people are like, well, too little, too late. But you know what? At least something's happening. And it's pointless to harp on shit that we can't change. So things are being changed, So with that being said, one of the things with me personally is I always struggle with how to be a good ally. And Teddy, Michael, and myself have a whole presentation on how to be a trans ally, and a lot of that is 100% applicable when it comes to being a white ally to the Black and Indigenous POC communities. But it's still something that I think is important to talk about. And so I actually did a little bit of research because that's what I do. So I found some things that I thought were kind of interesting. And I found an article written by Judan Hilaire, and he works at California State San Bernardino. And there are a few things that he recommended in this article that I thought were great. And I think that, these are things that make sense for white allies to do. And they're easy. Like, it's not things that take a whole shit ton of effort, and you know what I mean? It's really easy shit. He said one of the things that's really easy to do is to watch films and documentaries that highlight racial inequality and discrimination. He gave some examples. He said some of the better ones are like When They See Us, 13th, Dear White People, Fruitvale Station, The Hate You Give, Natural Hair, the movie, and then the one that I actually talked about last week, the Black Panthers, which, I mean, these are all really, especially the documentaries. It's like they lay things out because a lot of people are visual, and it's sometimes it's easier to absorb things that you see on a screen. It's like, oh, I get it, okay.
Can I? So. The reason why, so the hair one is big for me. I didn't understand it until I became an adult. that some ways that black men kept hair was because of the way that you were seen, and some ways that like I remember the if you watch the Natural Hair movie, there's a line in there where she says something about her mom getting her up early to brush through her hair and wash it and straighten it. We did that so much that I'm sure my sister lets her hair grow natural just because of that said process. And shout out to, there was a couple of people that said that the struggle about hair, and they were white people, that were talking about the struggle of hair and how it's an oppression. It's not a we want you to fit in. That is a microaggression. And
absolutely.
That causes black girls, black men to go like, am I not normal? Is there something wrong with my hair? Like the way Sham's wearing her hair, if I wore it like that when I was a kid, you would get like, no, you can't go to school like that. You can't go to school like that. And you just wondered why.
That's exactly why this little girl has this big curly fro, because we need to communicate that to our kids that how your hair is naturally, that's beautiful. Like, that's beautiful. The only time I've ever told Cindy her hair was a mess when she literally rolled around in the mud with the dog. And she's like, you said we don't have to be beautiful on the outside to be beautiful on the inside, but you're dirty and nasty.
Right. There's a difference.
But no,
right now you broke, so I'm going to take you on a hope to off, and then it'll be fine.
Exactly. But no, our kids need to see that. I totally agree with that.
So he also suggested that, as you're watching these movies, as you're watching these documentaries, actually take time to discuss them with a black friend. Take what you've learned and what you've understood through your perspective of these movies, and it's like active listening. So, you're going to watch this and you're going to talk to your black friend about it, and don't make it weird. Just, you're going to talk to your black friend about it, and you're going to be like, well, this is what I took away from this. And then you want to make sure that you leave space for your friend to be like, to give you their perspective, because their perspective is really what matters. But if you are listening and really, taking things in, then being able to sort of reiterate that is a good thing. It's like I said, it's like that active listening. You're taking something that somebody has told you, and you're repeating it back so that you know that you understood what was said.
Exactly.
He said that continuing to call out racism and bigotry through social media is a good thing. Obviously, don't just it's a start. It's not everything. But it's a good place to start, especially if you are holding other white folks accountable for racist, idiotic, stupid shit that they're saying. Because there are times, and this is where things like privilege and stuff come in, where a white person says something that's idiotic, and you have 15 black people that say, "Yo, that's fucking stupid."
I have an example of this.
The one white person that says, "Hey, man, this isn't okay, and this is why," that one white person is who that other person is going to listen to, which is fucking stupid. But again, it's one of those things. It's the privilege.
So I have an example of that on social media, along the lines of hair. There was a lady had posted, I just read this book, I can't remember the book, but and said about the hair. And so then her friend goes down and comments, oh, I couldn't ever leave the house because I had acne when I was a kid, when I was a teenager. I never left the house without wearing makeup. And I was so proud because she stopped, she even put like in her comment, she was like, deep breath, breathe with me. And she put like, no, everybody has acne. Not everybody is black and grows up with the hair that you wake up every morning and probably run a brush through. And she oh my God, I was so proud. I was like, oh yes, yes. And then here's some resources. Here, let me support you. And so, if you're able to educate others, then it's easier to come in and support and nurture and the conversation. Whereas sometimes I feel like I get tagged and stuff, and I have to be the dedicated black person. I don't want to be the dedicated black person. I just want to eat my lunch and do my stuff. But there are people that are sticking up and being educated, which is wonderful. First time I've seen it in a long time.
Now the key is like if you are on social media and you are posting and sharing and all that stuff, the trick is not to stop when all the hype dies down, because just like with everything, things kind of ebb and flow, and there's still we're still dealing with a fucking pandemic on top of everything else. So it's like the focus is still there. Things shift and then they shift back again and then they shift again, and the whole thing is make sure that you continue to speak up even when it's not the main focus. Another thing he suggested was to organize groups to discuss race, social injustices, and the privilege plays in the fight for social justice. And he's specifically talking about, and I should mention that the author of this article is a black man. So this is coming from a black man. Mm-hmm. He says that, and he's talking about a space that is specifically for the non-black community to be able to come together and learn how to support the black community, because it's a great way to build and expand alliances. White people need to acknowledge their privilege and the impact that it has. And it's, if you're sitting in a group of white people and you have white people saying, no, you're fucking privileged, get over it, and this is why, it doesn't come off, and this is where sometimes this privilege and shit comes in. You don't have that angry black woman or the angry black man or that, you know what I mean? It's literally a bunch of white folks saying, dude, stop. And sometimes that is what people will pick up on.
Mm-hmm. I think we have to work on both sides of the aisle too to change that narrative as well.
Oh, absolutely.
You can't call somebody that looks like me an angry black woman if I'm standing up for myself, if I'm correcting you when you're wrong, if I'm educating you because you're ignorant or stupid. There is a difference. I'm not angry at all. If anything, I'm giving you a favor. So yeah, I think that narrative has to go away quickly.
Oh, absolutely. Sure. Well, that's something that happens in a lot of marginalized communities. Mm-hmm. As soon as you start standing up for something, as soon as you start speaking out, then you become angrier. You have a chip on your shoulder, or what was it? Somebody said something about someone being aggressively trans one time, and I'm like, I need that on a shirt. Can I get a shirt that says aggressively trans? Because
I've been accused of being aggressively black, so it's okay.
Right. I actually found while I was looking for things, I actually found online a checklist for white allies against racism. You basically rate yourself from 0 to 4 on how often you exhibit ally behaviors. Obviously, the key is to be brutally honest with yourself. Mm-hmm. But 0 being I never exhibit this, 4 being I do this all the time. So it's actually kind of interesting. Obviously, the lower you score, yeah. But it was interesting. So there are things like that where, as long as you are honest with yourself, you can actually see how you kind of rate in terms of your allyship. Another key thing is to recognize your privilege, understand statements like all lives matter and I don't see color are problematic, and erase the struggles of Black, Indigenous people of color, because I don't know how many times in the last couple weeks people have pulled I don't see color, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, here are articles as to why this is fucking problematic. This is why this is an issue. And they always end up messaging me later, after they delete me, of course, because they don't like facts. So they delete me, And they messaged me and they gave me this whole spiel about how I'm the daughter of a biracial woman and a da. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. Don't give a fuck.
But see, that's
You
the
are
part that's so
literally
exhausting.
ignoring the fact that these struggles and these problems exist by saying that you don't see color.
They're the same people making nudes that are like pink. Ugh.
Right.
And that's the problem, because perfect example, you don't see color. Well, neither did these self-driving cars and some tests either. And that's why they were at a higher percentage to hit people of color, because they thought they were objects. I feel like if there are more people at the table of color, more Black people at the table, more people with a global and worldly perspective, the things that completely miss you will be right in their face. That is why diversity, inclusion, and equity are so important.
You say that.
Every construct of society.
I have to say that diversity and inclusion, and this is something that drives me crazy, and you can tell when either it's a billboard ad or like a commercial of some sort or whatever, you can tell when the company is like, oh, quick, we need a Black person in this. Find a Black person. Or, oh, wait, we need an Asian. We need one Asian and we need one Black person.
Can we get an
Asian and a Black person in here? Yes, we have 4 other white people, but we need to look like we're inclusive. So
I think that all the time.
Right now, like, it's ridiculous. Like,
especially when I moved here. When I moved here, it was so obvious. You could tell. Like, somebody was like, find the one Black person that you know and bring them to the photo shoot. And the person's like standing there like, why am I in this photo? And you're like, come on. But I can tell you, in the last couple of weeks, I have seen more companies using people of color. I'm like, why? If you had this in the vault, why didn't you use it before? I've been looking for somebody like me to buy your product. But now, we'll talk about that later, because I forgot to add it to the list. There's still cosmetic people saying, we support you, we stand by you, but they sell skin whitener.
Right. And that's a $1 billion industry right there. Skin lightener is so one more thing, and I thought this was really good. There's a paper that was written. It was a Q&A for professional development piece. That had different folks that were POCs as a part of this. I believe there was a Black woman. There was a South Asian American, and then there was a couple other as well. And I don't remember what the ethnicities were, but one participant, she happened to be the South Asian American woman. She's also a community activist. She described the stages of becoming a white anti-racist ally as realize the meanings behind privilege, racism, and whiteness. Look within before you look outward. How do you relate to the definitions? Pinpoint the ways in which you experience privilege as a white person. So you actually have to do some self-reflection in that. Look outward. Find the historical, global, and social patterns of the effects of racism and other forms of oppression. So you have to be introspective, and then you have to look at the bigger picture. Because it's not always... You have to acknowledge where the bigger issues are, as well as your own internal conflicts with racism. And she said, act. Realize that you want to do something about this system and come at it with a sensitivity and understand that you come from a privileged background, whether you like it or not.
And privilege has nothing to do with wealth or class standings.
No, class standing and wealth are one type of privilege. There's different, obviously there's different types of privilege.
But the one we're talking about.
But what, these trailer park boys don't understand is that them being white in itself is a privilege. And anytime I talk about white privilege, I grew up poor. I don't give a fuck if you grew up like, that's nothing to do with anything. Nothing. Mm-hmm. And you try to break it down and you try to send them. I remember, oh God, somebody was talking about there's no such thing as white privilege. I grew up poor, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, all right, here's some articles. All these articles. Well, what if you flip it around and then you talk about black privilege? Because then we talk about, I'm like, oh my God, Bubba, shut up.
Where? Can I get it? Can I get a copy of that? Can I see what the regulations are on that? Because I need to know.
I'm
I wasn't
black
told.
Privilege isn't a thing. Shut up.
Oh, well, I saw on Facebook, I can't believe that I'm seeing this in my generation. Somebody said something about black supremacy. They were like, and then...
Where?
And then they said, well, we can't let it get to black supremacy. I said... I mean... And then I saw somebody else comment before I did, and I said, oh, thank you, God. Thank you. But it said, oh, you mean equality? And I was like, oh, you said it. You said it. You said it. You said it. I mean...
Some of the things that... So on the when I saw one of the news stations post about the Aunt Jemima being changed and, going through a makeover or whatever, so many white people commented, I'm not going to buy this anymore. She was a staple in my kitchen. Blah, blah. I'm like, you're not going to buy syrup because they're changing the mascot. You sound so stupid. Like, serious?
Why were you buying it in the first place? I'm just thinking.
Oh my God! I'm like, you're so
it's okay. I'm guilty.
This is the hill you're going to die on. That I'm not buying your syrup because you're changing the race taste. Like, why? Like, you can call it fucking cock syrup. It's still gonna be the same shit. They're not changing anything about the goddamn syrup. They're making it less racist.
I say so much education is missing in this country. And I just had this conversation with somebody today, and we're talking again on Monday. But when you have an institution that has purposely set aside U.S. history, which is European history, call it what it
white
is.
White history.
Wrinkle some black history in there, bare minimum. Bare minimum. And
there was slavery at this one point, and then there wasn't anymore because we fixed it.
Basically. And so when do you actually have the real truthful messaging out there for people to take advantage of?
When you become an adult.
Mandated. Why is it that I got to take economics and government, but I don't have to take African American history when y'all wouldn't have history if it weren't for the African Americans that helped you build this country in the first place?
Oh my God. That reminds me of a meme, too, that I saw. There's a meme of something like, there's like black people standing in front of the White House saying something. It says like "move it" or something, and it says they built it. Mm-hmm. The guy that's sitting in there right now, we built it. You're welcome.
Mm-hmm. Mm. Yes, we did.
So, speaking about the guy that's sitting in there right now, we won't talk about him, but we will talk about somebody who loves... So we're going to go ahead and take a closer look at some of these current events that's happening. So, Arizona Governor Ducey, which I don't even refer to him by his real name because fuck that guy, refuses to actually answer questions. He talks in circles, doesn't want to shut the state down or make masks mandatory, won't wear one himself, and says we're fine because the hospitals have room.
Hotels have rooms. I ain't trying to stay there.
I really hope people start to take this serious. This is
this is actually and breaking here with pressure from individual city mayors. There was actually a mandate in place where city government could not take any precautions that went above and beyond what the state said. So he actually loosened those. He won't actually tell the state of Arizona, no, you have to wear fucking masks in public. But he's leaving it up to the mayors of the individual cities.
Okay, so
to do that.
I said this to somebody earlier. You don't have to be a parent to understand this, but let's say like you're a daycare teacher. You tell the children they can't play with the Play-Doh, but you leave it out on the table. What they gonna do?
Play with the Play-Doh.
What the hell?
Well,
what kind of leader?
It's okay because
color the walls with the Play-Doh.
So here's the thing. It's gonna be fine because you know what? Even though if Mayor Gallego, Phoenix mayor, says that we have to wear has to, if we have to wear masks in Phoenix, that's totally fine because I'm just going to go to Scottsdale and then I don't have to wear my mask.
Oh, she gonna party it up? Because they were packed this weekend.
There's no fucking, so it's fucking stupid. And the way that Phoenix is laid out, I can go right up to Glendale, which is about half a mile up my road, and then I don't have to wear my mask anymore.
Oh.
I've just never seen where we have to ask people to take care of themselves to save their life potentially. Like, and some people still don't think this is real.
Stop infringing on my civil liberties by making me do the right thing. God damn it.
I'm just saying.
Were we just talking about privilege?
Yeah. I keep saying, it's like, nobody has a problem with a business saying no shoes, no shirt, no service. But God forbid you throw masks in there, and then all of a sudden it's infringing on your. You weren't complaining about your civil liberties when 7-Eleven told you had to wear a shirt to come in.
7-Eleven is canceling free Slurpee Day. Because y'all fucked it up. Y'all fucked it up. Damn.
Speaking of Scottsdale.
Well, I just want to report that Scottsdale's on the map again. If you make the national news twice in a month, I don't know.
Arizona's making national news every fucking day at this point.
Yes. So
for the wrong reasons.
I didn't realize it was this bad until I saw on somebody's Facebook that they were driving through Scottsdale, and there were people everywhere, like gobs of people. You would think like we were celebrating a holiday. Gobs of people. And do you think that social distancing was happening?
Of course not.
No. There were people like, you know how they get drunk and then they're walking in the street. Yeah. I'm like, oh, COVID, cool.
You totally think that a fucking white sports ball team won something. I don't like it.
But so that happened Saturday? And so, like, on Monday, I was watching the news, CNN to be exact, because I don't watch those other ones. But anyway, we were on there. I was like, oh, Jesus. Oh. And then, you can tell my mom doesn't know exactly where I am, but she knows I'm in Arizona. And she goes, did you go out this weekend? I said, no, I didn't. She goes, if you know anybody that did, tell them to get tested. I'm like, why? She's like, because I saw on the news all these people in Scott. I'm like, nope, I don't live near there. I'm not in. Nope. That wasn't me. But
so,
that explains why the numbers keep going up at such a high rate.
Right. And speaking of numbers, this is why we keep making the news every fucking day. So again, give you guys a little bit of kind of a context here.
We're gonna go over time.
April 4th was when we started really sort of reporting case numbers here. As of April 4th, that was 2.5 months ago. 2.5 months. We had 2,000 cases and 50 deaths. That was 2.5 months. As of today, we have 39,097 cases and over 1,200 deaths. That's up about 10,000 from last week.
To put in perspective, I think that, because you had mentioned that people don't think this is real. To put in perspective, I read an article that I should have shared, and I can't find it now. But Hart Island. You remember Hart Island from the HIV/AIDS, the AIDS epidemic?
Yep.
For those that don't know, during the AIDS epidemic, people were dying so quickly that they didn't have a place to like bury people in like proper settings, that they would just put them on this island and they would go unclaimed. They wouldn't have any markings to say where they are, who they are.
Basically just a mass grave.
Correct. And so the families started bringing heart-shaped rocks to the island in memory of their lost loved ones, hoping, like they would see it. But now, because you talk about history repeating itself, now that island is starting to be occupied by these people because we cannot bury them quick enough that we have to use this mass grave, and people are starting to bring those hearts back. That's the part where I feel like I'm gonna cry right now. You guys have to realize we're facing so much right now, but you have to stay inside when you can. You have to wear a mask when you're out. It is so serious. And to even the people I live with, sometimes it's kind of like a joke.
The people you live with don't wear masks and go out to the fucking mall.
So, if I get sick, I have a higher risk of dying statistically. Not saying that I wish that upon myself, but yes, Heart Island was featured in Pose. That's the island that they were going to. But I just don't get why local government, aka the governor, don't take this more seriously. They won't take it more seriously until they get it. They won't take it more seriously until somebody dies near them. Because that's one thing that I've realized, that some people aren't taking it serious because they don't know anybody anybody that has it.
Well, what's interesting is that the one of the highest age ranges that has the highest number of cases that are consistently rising right now it's the age range between 21 and 40. You know, the people that still go to fucking bars.
Going out.
Right. Yeah. People are going out and partying. So if you think it's not going to affect you because you're young, sorry, guess what? There's actually reports coming in from ERs all over the valley here that they're seeing more and more young people. So if you think it's not going to affect you, so San Francisco Karen. San Francisco Karen calls the cops on he's a man of color. He was stenciling #BLM on his own property. Mm-hmm. She tells him, "We know the people that live here," after trying to get him to say that he didn't live there. She's like, "Do you know who lives here? Do you live here?" He's like, "Why do you want to know?
Right.
None of your fucking business." Well, we know the people who live here. No, you fucking don't. And
start from the beginning.
She's trying to get him to say that it's not his property. Because, there's no possible way that a man of color is going to be able to afford to live in San Francisco.
So, next, with the CEO of her own beauty line company, by the way. She couldn't believe that somebody like him would live next to somebody like him.
Right. Her skincare line was actually a part of the Birchbox subscription box thing. They dropped her.
Canceled.
Real quick.
So, the part that got me when I first started watching it, and this is part of me that is like, I like to take things apart. So I like to look at things like 3 times. The funny thing is, when he starts the video, because obviously they've been having this conversation for a little bit, and so her husband, or whoever he is recording too. And he has like the little smart remarks and keeps going, we know people. We know you don't live here. And I'm like, you know? Do ya? Do ya? I don't think you do. And
I just don't understand why they lie. Why?
Because they're fucking stupid. I'm like, you guys, how idiotic you sound. We know who lives here.
Personally.
Do you really, though? Because you're actually talking to the owner, you dumb fuck.
But she said personally.
Like, literally talking to the owner. So you don't know as much as you think you know. So maybe you should just keep your fucking mouth shut.
Oh, people are blowing up her business Facebook?
Oh, yeah. I love it when this shit happens and you find out that the person is, like, the owner of a business or whatever, because then, like, you go to Google or their Facebook page, and, like, the reviews and shit. It's fucking amazing. Amazing.
I'm gonna have to go look. I looked at the lawyers' Google reviews. Google reviews is... Don't be racist. It'll cost you your business.
Mm-hmm.
People will get that one of these days.
On a not so lighthearted note, we have lynchings that are happening around the country now. They're being labeled as suicides because That's a thing. So far, we've had 2 in the Houston area, 2 in Southern California. And we also have another group of victims by police violence was added this week as well. I think we have at least 3 added to that list.
And I follow a police officer or man of the law that is Black and gay, and he dissects this video so well that I told him that he should write like an article, and he said I can post it on Twitter, but there's something about it being published that he could lose his job. But I was like, if you publish this will go all over the place because I'm gonna share it all over the place. But
see, that's part of the problem right there. Is that that's why. Or he won't. He's more afraid of losing his job than he is for standing up for what's right. That's the fucking problem, and that's why all cops are bastards.
Yeah.
Period.
So, but the one where he like turns away and runs, the officer basically said, "Why didn't they just go about their business? They could have caught him later." I'm like, I watch a lot of crime shows. They do that anyway. They go, "Oh well, we missed him, or we'll send somebody to go get him later." Right. What people need to understand is these are people, and another one's been, what was he convicted of? Murder?
Felony murder. Yeah. The one from Atlanta?
Yeah. And so what we need to be open to is the discussion, is the reform. We can't talk about that either, but next week I'm gonna let loose, girl. I'm gonna let loose. You watch next week. But anyway, but these are things that we just need to tear apart. They do need to be defunded because we need to figure out, where did we go wrong? Why is it so? We must kill.
If you talk to anybody, especially even in military, anybody that's ex-cop or whatever, they tell you they're not taught to shoot to kill. They're taught to shoot to wound if they have to. Like, you shoot the shoulder, you shoot the leg. Like, why all of a sudden now it's shoot to kill? It's like, really? So you have an unarmed guy who's running
the opposite direction.
And left his cell phone and his keys.
Right. Why is it fucking right? You have somebody like, why are you shooting them anyway? And why do you feel it is necessary to shoot to kill when you have white dudes that are running around that commit mass shootings, but you get them Burger King? Like, yeah. But yeah, we can't talk about nothing because the orange Cheetos. God damn it.
No, I mean, but that's real though. I mean, I don't want to say the wrong country, but it was highlighted over the weekend, and they haven't had a police death in how many years?
Norway hasn't had a police death in 10 years. 10 years.
Yeah. And I think that the article came out over the past weekend. But I was just like, there is a way to do this without taking.
They also have gun control too.
Yeah, gun control is like there are countries where cops don't actually carry weapons. They'll have maybe they'll have a taser, maybe they'll have pepper spray, but they don't carry fucking.
I think I read something this weekend that we're the most violent country. We're up there.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, but it's been like that. That goes back under systemic racism, and I can talk about that part. I mean, look at the history of the police and what they were initially and originally used for in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
That one. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
There is that.
There is. I have to share these things. I need to share these things online instead of just scrolling past them and going, But there's that guy that, what police department? He's like, you need to respect us. You need to treat us right. Blah.
Yeah, that's right. Stop calling us thugs.
And after every line of his speech, they show, police being, the guy just standing there and falling flat. And they're like, please come at me when you have something really to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about something really good. Let's talk about LGBTQ protections in the workplace. But we can't talk about the other thing that happened.
I'm never going to be asked to come back, by the way.
are you planning on quitting your job anytime soon, or
I'm just gonna drink this good old water right here. I'm gonna leave this cup just like
this. You need to go get a bottle. You need to go get a bottle of wine. You need to
remember that bottle that's sitting right across from you. Go get it. Go ahead, get it. We'll talk.
Look, this is free.
I mean, she gone real quick. Donald Trump, don't fuck that. He decided that. Oh wait. Oh my god. Oh my god.
So should we move on to talk about our guest, since we're over time anyway, and we need to talk about our guest?
Yeah, we do. Since we can't talk about what we want to talk about, I'm just kidding.
Y'all have been awesome. Y'all have a new fan.
Oh, good.
We have many haters. It's good. It's good. That means we made it, I think.
Life is stupid for all that.
So we have totally gone over, and we still have people watching, so they interested. Tell us about yourself and how you started writing.
Okay. So just giving you a newsflash. You might get a tear or two to fall out, so don't blame me if the eyelashes mess up.
We don't. We have no souls and no hearts. We're fine. We don't cry. We don't. We got nothing.
Okay.
I'll just keep my eyes open so I don't cry.
That would behoove you in this case, then. No, like I'm from a very small town in Arkansas, Louisville, Arkansas. I was raised by a really great family and single mom. I always wanted to be a veterinarian, and then I switched that over to a pediatrician. And I saw when I got to college, I'm like, oh, good Lord, these classes. So
isn't it amazing how college changes your career goals?
Look, Disney is not the dream killer for little girls looking for a Prince Charming. College is like, do you really want to go down that rabbit hole? So I was good on this Prince Charming. But no, I just knew I wanted to do something that helped people. So I actually ended up getting my master's in public health. And I was so very blessed and so very fortunate to land a job at HHS working under the Office of the Secretary for President Obama. So I worked in the office that was created by the ACA. So
can I say that? I miss him.
Yes, I miss him too. But I had a great job and, met my husband. We ended up having a little girl and figured out our paths in life were a little bit different. We divorced, and I had to figure out this whole new thing called being a single mom. And a part of me really hated to repeat a pattern that I had gone through. But at the same time, there are just some things in life you were not willing to compromise or give up. And I couldn't do that because if I would have stayed in a situation, I would not have been happy with certain things. And so, and I also know like forgiveness is key, and I can forgive you, but that does not mean that I have to still continue to look at the thing that was a problem. Mm-hmm. So we co-parent wonderfully. I fully support his happiness because if he's not happy, then he can't be who she needs him to be. And there are so many little girls without that relationship with either parent. And so I'm not going to be that parent to not make that relationship work, Mm-hmm. So I, was adjusting to that. And our divorce was finalized September 28th. We had just buried my grandmother that previous Christmas Eve, December 24th. So fast forward about 9-ish months. My divorce was final. A week later, I turned 30. A week after that, I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. And so when you said that, it was pretty much a high risk for you to catch COVID, I got you because I have no B cells, which is something that is extremely critical when you get sick. You need those to fight off infections. Mm-hmm. And so the medication I take, it just shoots my immune system. But after that diagnosis, I was number one in denial. I'm like, no, y'all got that wrong. That can't be. Yeah, they were right. They knew what they were doing. All tests came back. I had active lesions, all the things. So I was very, very ticked off in a hospital bed. I was the worst patient. I own it. I was the worst patient. I was pissed. They were starving me. But the staff never lost their professionalism. They could tell I was hurting. The doctor even came in there and just held my hand. And when he showed that side of himself as being human, I just cried. Because I'm like, out of all the stuff I've gone through, why this? Why this now? And so I literally made this list of stuff that I was involved in because I said, I felt like I lived a good, happy life, but it was still something missing about my life. And I just wrote out everything I was involved in. And I tell people all the time, if it wasn't a 70 or above, first round it had to go. Second round, if it wasn't a 90 above, I was out of that too, because I saw just how detrimental my situation could be for me. And I didn't want to voluntarily not take charge of my life in a way that was meaningful at that point, because that showed me that the next day was not promised to be like the day before. So a year later, I would actually relapse. And that time, I was completely paralyzed on my left side. Oh, no. And the funniest thing, I will never forget it. 2016, August, it was the night of the opening for the Olympics. And you see all these wonderful athletes that have trained and practiced and competed and have done everything. And they are the best of what they do. They could do anything. And I can even lift my arm to pick up a glass of water. And so the doctor said everything, but you'll get your strength back. You'll get all that back. He didn't say that, and that was even more hurtful to me. So that time I was really pissed. But it was just like I saw myself deteriorating just within 24, 48 hours because my spirit and my soul was just, it was depleted. And I am definitely a Christian, but I was angry at God for that one because I said, yo, like I've been through a lot already. Like you could have left me alone last year. But no, it was a hard time. But and I think the thing that got me the most with that one was when I was released a week later. I came home, my little girl, she ran up to me. She was like, I want to dance, because that was our thing, dance. And I said, I can't dance with you because I had no mobility on this side, and I was super weak on my left side as far as my legs go. And I said, I can't dance. I said, well, let's do something later. And so I asked my mom to watch her, and I went to the bathroom. I literally sat on the floor and just cried because at that point, I said, it's not just about me. I got somebody counting on me, and I can't even pick her up. I can't even hug her. I can't hold her. And so that night when I looked at her while she was sleeping, I said, I have to get through this, and I don't know what that's going to look like, but I'm going to get through it. So I started rehab that Monday. And it was one thing to know what I couldn't do, but it was another thing when you start seeing the metrics and the numbers behind it. Like your strength level is here on your left side and your strength level is here on your right side. And granted, I was dominant on my right side, but still, I could do something with my left side before all that happened. But God is, and He works in really mysterious ways. During that time of rehabilitation for 6 weeks, I ran into my third grade teacher, and she had a stroke. So she couldn't talk, but she recognized my face, and she grabbed my face and she kissed me on my lips. And her husband said, she does not light up for anybody like that. So she must really remember you. I said, she was the most awesome person. And I also ran into another lady that would actually become my neighbor. And we had a relationship. We had a friendship. Now, when I go see my mother, she's the first one I check on because I get to her house before my mom sometimes. So it's like so many good things came out of that. But what really came out was me being a better person. And like I said, I don't think I was a bad person, but I may have had prejudices. I may have had biases. I may have had thoughts of, well, this person will never be me. I would never do that. No, 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 no. You don't know what situation life is going to put you in to humble you. And while you may think that you do good and you are good and you have things figured out, life has a way of showing you that you don't. So through that, 6 weeks later, my rehabilitation specialist told me, they were like, we have never seen a recovery like yours. Because I changed the way I prayed. I wasn't praying to hurry up and get through it. It was like, show me what I need to see, show me what you want me to do so I can live my life according to. And that was that. And so going forward, I wanted to do everything with intention. And one of the things I promised Sandy is that we'd start traveling. And while we had not gone many big places, we still took trips to go see family and stuff like that. And one day we went to LA this past January, actually, and we were on the plane. This child has no filter. She's like, where are all the black kids at? Would you hush? But no, no black children on this plane. Sandy, I know that. Where are they? Are they coming? I'm like, please, God, just tell her to shut up in your most special way because she won't stop talking. I was like, you want to play on your iPad? She was like, we don't have any games. I said, I'll buy you anything you want. I was desperate. So that kept her. And I'm just like, kind of in my own, I'm just like, that's my child. And the people in front of me, they were white. They were hilarious. They were like, you know what? She got a point. They were like, you know, she's going to be a tough one. She's not going to back down. I'm like, I don't need you co-signing right now. Turn it So we had an amazing time in LA. We went to Santa Monica, we went to Newport Beach, we went to Balboa Island. I mean, we did everything. And I have to send y'all this picture. She literally looked like Michelle Obama in one of them with this resting face that she had. So she was over walking through the terminal. I'm like, you're not carrying anything. What are you doing? Why are you upset? And so just dealing with that diva, it was fun. I wouldn't take it away. But when we got home, that question came up again. She said, why are all these little black kids not on the plane with us? It was so many white little kids on there, and I didn't have anybody on there who looked like me. And I said, well, you know, I can't speak for everybody. I said, but when I was little, I said, Nana didn't have money like that to take us on trips like that. I said, so, you know, it could be that, or parents could just not have time. This was a trip in the middle of the week. I said, that was a work trip. Maybe they're traveling for work and, you know, kids can't come. I said, there are several reasons there. She said, well, for the kids, they can't afford it. That's just not fair for them. And she said, Mommy, you need to fix it because you fix everything. And I'm like, tall order. So she didn't let that go. She did not let that go. And I had been thinking about writing a children's book for a while because I had already written my novel and a group of short stories too. And I was like, I really want to do a children's series. And that just kind of was it. And the week of President's Day, actually, I think it was February 18th, if I'm not mistaken, she was out of school, and I still don't know why. But the next day, I did my market research. I'm here. She was off every holiday I was. I'm like, you ain't got no job. Like, why are you here? But I did my market research, and I went to Barnes & Noble. I went to a few bookstores, and I did not see a children's series that introduced a heroic character that was not so far off to be unbelievable that it couldn't be attained, that had a positive message behind it, and was still fun. I didn't see that. And so I was like, you know what? We have so many heroes that don't look like us. It is time for a little black girl to see a hero that she can identify with. And so when I started thinking of what's the perfect logo, I, you know, knew Zendaya, she loves flying. And so I was trying to find all these black heroines that, you know, were pilots. The first one I came across that I just fell in love with was Bessie Coleman. She is from Atlanta, Texas, which is about 30 miles away from where I grew up. And I said, you know what? Done. Got to. So this amazing illustrator in the Philippines, I'm going to put this up close if I can. She saw my chicken scratch that looked nothing like this, but I said, I want this and I want that, and I want this little girl to have all the fun stuff in her hair, and I want her to look like she's ready for the world with her favorite stuffed animal, and that's what she gave me. And so we dedicated the first book to Hurricane Dorian victims and the people of the Bahamas, especially because of everything they went through, and my little girl is half Bahamian, and so that was just like a thing for me. So I'm actively actually trying to get in touch with someone now. I'm working with somebody actually over there. So we can find out who we can donate some books to. Because at the end of the day, this line is about giving promise and potential to the next generation of kids. And it's funny that you said what you said earlier, Freddie. about being the white ally. Well, you know what? At the end of the day, my kid is going to be here hopefully longer than me. I want this place to be better for her.
Well, it
And
sounds
so
like
if
she's
I
already
have
speaking
to
up for
like
herself.
swallow a whole lot of pride, pills, pain, whatever, to deal with people that really and truly don't get it, but they are trying to make an effort to get it, I'm going to do that for her. I'm going to do that for every other little kid there after her, because we have to make this place better for them. And it's in my ability right now to do that through my children's series. I'm giving them the opportunity to see the world in ways that they probably haven't and won't for a while, but I'm giving them the opportunity to know that they can and to know that they will. And it's waiting on them. And when they go there, this is what you can do. Mm-hmm. So that's that story behind that.
I think that's awesome. I think it's fantastic, and I think the book idea is great. When I was little, I was very much a world traveler. I lived overseas. I grew up overseas. So like my passport, like up until I was 18, like there were times when we had to get new passport because we ran out of room. Back when they actually still put stamps in, and I didn't realize until I moved back to the States, and and talking to people when we were back in the States when I was little, that wasn't everybody's experience.
Right.
And it's not through any fault of anybody's. That wasn't my worldview. My worldview was very different growing up. Right. So I just from that sort of a standpoint, I love that you have something where kids can. They can read it, and even if they're not necessarily in, if their family's not in a position for one reason or another to go travel now, they can be like, oh, I remember reading this book, and they're in their 20s or whatever, and they're like, I remember reading this book, and this, the heroine went to Hong Kong, and the things that she talked about, like these are. That could be so cool, and I want to go to Hong Kong now, and I have my trip booked, and based on just inspired by those stories, and I think that's absolutely fantastic. And I am like everybody, I'm a huge book person, and books and stories have influenced my life so much that I know the kind of influence that they can have on someone. And I think that it's how cool is it to think that your book might like influence somebody in that way. I think that's fantastic.
Okay. Well, I really hope it does. So yeah, it's a book today, but I'm dreaming big, but I'm dreaming carefully too, because it's like I want this done right so we can continue to grow. I think the best conversation I've had was this past weekend with my mentor. He was like, I believe in you. I believe you can do all these things, but don't have so many snowflakes that they melt. Get you a few good snowflakes and focus on making a snowball and let that continue to grow. He said, you won't even have to put forth the momentum once this gets big enough. He said, but right now, focus on marketing and focus on getting the message out there. And he was like, I guarantee you somebody's going to pick this up and see how amazing it is. So I really appreciated that, because it is easy to have a million things going on at the same time, because this is exciting. Like, I love this. I think I'm more excited about the next adventure. It's Paris. That makes me happy. But you want to make sure you do it right, though. So that's where I am.
So beautiful. So beautiful.
Thank you.
When are you? So you're working on that book now? The next one, the Paris one.
So I actually just got the edits back from the editor, but my illustrator right now is working on a surprise. So you guys stay tuned for that. I'm really excited about that. But I just got my edits back today, so I'm going to respond to her tomorrow. But from what I saw, I loved it. Amy has worked at Scholastic and Disney, so it's like she gets that.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I love her brain. I love how she is able to take what I say and really make it sound.
Can you tell us where Sandy is going in the next one?
Paris. She's going to Paris.
Oh, lovely.
And so the thing with my books, there will be kids of all ethnicities in every single country she goes to visit. So it's not just going to be a book with all Black kids, but it's going to be a book with this little Black girl that may meet an Iranian. She will meet someone from Kerala. She'll meet someone from Paris. She'll meet someone from the Philippines. Like, I want this to be a global book. And I'm also, of course, we're definitely going to go through Africa because I already got the pyramid book. Like, I'm just so excited for Egypt. Like, I was like, she's going to have a cute little outfit. Zuma's going to have something too. So, like I said, I think I'm more excited about this than she is. She just wants to take the trips.
Of course. When you're that age, of course. Of course. You're like, Mom's writing the book. I'm just going to go travel. I don't care. I mean, if my mom called me today,
you can have her. You can have her.
No, I got 2 of my own. Thank you. You keep yours. You keep yours. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for offering.
Well, she's fine. She's definitely.
How old is Sandy?
Sandy is 6. She's a full out Scorpio and will be 7 November 14th.
Oh, and she's already.
I appreciate that.
She's already a handful like that at 7. Oh my goodness. Good luck.
She did this at 3. So the dog actually stole one of her dolls and accidentally decapitated. I don't know, but she brought it to me and she had these tears in her eyes. I said, I can fix that. It's not a big deal. I said, but let me finish cooking. I'll say everything will be okay. 4 hours later, after she had eaten, taken a nap, we had played, he walked by her and she slapped the dog shit out of him, no pun intended. And he looked, and I looked, I was like, what happened? She's like, that's for breaking my dog.
Wow.
Oh.
I bet you can't wait till she's a teenager. That's going to be so much fun.
I might be paying her daddy to take her then.
She's going to hold grudges. She's going to remember every single thing that you did to her.
Oh my gosh. She's going to be like, you remember?
Like, what'd you say?
She's going to be like, oh, you remember when I was 5? And then she's going to name it all out. And then she's going to be like, here we go.
Mm-hmm. She does that to my mother. She does it to my mother. So my mother is a Virgo. I'm a Libra. Sandy's a Scorpio. I am the peacekeeper between a grandmother and a grandchild. It's insane. Most of the time I just leave. I'm trying not to be there.
Oh, that sounds like me. So where can people buy the book? Did you hear me?
So it's on Amazon. It's on Amazon right now. If they got Prime, they get free shipping. You can buy it directly from me, but the way this delivery system has been going lately, I am not guaranteeing that they would even get their book before 3 weeks because it takes me about 1.5 weeks to get the shipment in from the third party since I'm the author, and then this past shipment was crazy. It took them an additional 4 days to get it here. So I would say if you want a signed copy, just please give me patience. I promise I will get your stuff to you. But if you don't care and you just want the book, you can get it for free. It's unlimited KDP for free, and then also the paperback is $10.99 on Amazon.
Very cool.
Awesome.
And if they really want a treat, they can wait till July 6th because that's when I'm kicking off my Kickstarter. So I'm actually trying to raise enough to furnish the whole time. I think that's time from the dog, so I'm doing something right.
Bruce, shut up.
Must be really exciting.
He's a fan of the Kickstarter.
Bruce.
I didn't know you were doing a Kickstarter. I'm getting the. I'm just finding out. I just got the surprise. Yeah. I guess I'll have to wait for the Kickstarter to come out. Now that I just skipped my questions, I'm just gonna skip my questions. So what's next is the Kickstarter then.
All right.
Do we have?
So yeah, the Kickstarter is actually going to be July 6th. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I think it's a delay, and it's probably on my end. I apologize.
No, it's because my husband is watching TV.
And we are doing a race to basically fund the whole line of books. For instance, each book to edit is about $375 to $400, and then to do the illustration is $2,200. So it is basically me funding the line, so it would go so much quicker with that type of help. To be able to make sure I pay my illustrators through and get them contracted for the full campaign would be great. Like I said, I love who I'm currently working with because they just depict everything that I want. Like, this is one of my favorite pictures, for instance.
That book is so
just
vibrant.
To give you an idea, like it is, and she got it. She's in the Philippines, and I just adore her spirit and just her creativity, and everything she's able to do is just amazing. But yeah, so it helps with the legal funds. We are currently trademarking, going through the copywriting process. Just doing everything the right way. But that takes money, and then Kickstarter, they want their money too. So that's where I am in life.
Wow, it's such a process. I didn't realize that it's such a process.
So keep an eye out for the Kickstarter, guys. July 6th. When that Kickstarter gets going, keep an eye on our page. We'll make sure that we post it so that you guys can chip in. I know plenty of y'all have kids, grandkids, nieces, nephews, whatever, that would love to get in on these books. So we'll make sure that we post that so you guys can get in early and be a part of the Kickstarter. So yeah, we will make sure we get that posted on June 6th when it comes out for sure.
Yeah, send us.
Felicia, what have we got coming up for us?
Hold on, I was still somewhere else. Wow. When reality sinks in. So on June 19th.
All the things.
Everything is happening on June 19th. So at 5 p.m., Sassy C. Diaz is hosting the Juneteenth edition of Drag Story Hour. And Freddie and I are reading along with her. And then at 8 p.m., I will be hosting the Juneteenth event virtually for the Juneteenth celebration presented by Virtual Arizona Pride in Next Gen Arizona. I also have a video playing in Nashville Pride Live. There's just so many things. I'm just all over the place. So if you don't catch me in one place, you can catch me in another. It's like I'm on, like when you watch TV and like somebody's like guest starring in like 5 different shows. That's what I feel like is happening right now. That will be me. And then the next day, because I don't know how to stay away and not book things back to back ever, is the Flagstaff Pride edition of Let's Have a Fifi, because Flagstaff is going virtual with Pride this year, and there's a whole list of things that are happening, including a drag story hour that's happening earlier in the day. So if you follow Flagstaff Pride, be sure to catch.
And we've got the hour, I think, are we at 7?
6 to 7, I thought.
Or are we at 6?
6 to 7.
I don't remember.
It's 6 to 7. And then next week, I am with Sham again because we're going to do Drag Story Hour author talk. I don't know how to say no to a calendar.
Yeah.
I just say yes.
It's a week away. Get over it. You're fine.
I don't know.
Promise. Make this as easy as possible.
And then we have upcoming guests that I need to go back and check and see if anybody else has said yes to. Because I think...
And make sure that you guys get your shirt orders in tonight. If you get them in tonight, we are closing out orders and sending the orders in tomorrow. So if you want a t-shirt, get a hold of us tonight.
By us, he means me, because I have the order.
I'm sending them when we hang up.
Okay. That works for me.
I mean, I can get you in touch with Felicia if you need to, but somebody, one of us. It's just, yeah.
We've been brought to you by Wigs of a Kind. You can find them on Facebook. Marissa does a wonderful job. The wig I'm wearing tonight is by Marissa. And the Burley Barber. You can find them at the Burley Barbers. Make sure you book an appointment before you go because you can't walk in, especially with COVID standards and guidelines. You can't just walk in. Special thanks to all of you who support us on Patreon. You can become a member of our Patreon by going to patreon.com/letshaveafifi. You can also tip us at You can also tip us at paypal.me/letshaveafifi. And again, if you haven't ordered your shirt,
T-shirts.
Do it now. Do it now. Do it now. I feel like I'm on cue.
If you don't order your shirt tonight and then we put the order in tomorrow, the shirt, don't bitch when you say, well, I wanted a shirt. We've been telling you for weeks to order a goddamn shirt. So don't bitch if you miss it.
Like 4 weeks now. This has been like 4 or 5 weeks. Like, bro, where you been? Where you at?
Seriously, like we've been doing this for a month. So
yeah.
We've already hit at least 2 pay periods. So I'm saying,
and a stimulus check.
You know, like we've given you ample time to save if you need to. If you needed to put a money order in the mail, we've given you plenty of time to do this too. Like we've given you time. We've given you time. So you know.
I don't know how much time you need. Damn.
So no extensions.
No extensions.
I'm gonna wear one and then I'm gonna get a message. How come you didn't tell me about the shirt? Bitch, get up. Mm-mm.
Right. That's exactly what's gonna happen. Yeah.
Well, you can subscribe to us as a podcast. You can listen to us everywhere at this point. And I promise to update the episodes after I get done with the craziness of this week because I'm just a little busy at the moment. You can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and YouTube. Special thanks to Sham Wise for joining us tonight. And
thank y'all for having me. Y'all are awesome. Thank you.
Yes. And thank you to all of you who watch live and to who watch on the replay. We will see you next week for your Wednesday night conversation. This has been Let's Have a Fifi. Good night.
Good night.